So tonight's topic is how to negotiate the deal. So one of the things that we do is that we build one topic on top of another topic, on top of another topic. In the beginning of the year, we always talk about the basics, like what is wholesaling all about? How do you wholesale? Then the next month we talk about how to find the deals. We talk about how to estimate renovations. Today we're going to talk about how to negotiate the deal. And here's why, right? We talk about this piece because you could spend a lot of money marketing for deals, and then when a deal actually comes across your plate, you blow it because you don't know what to say. You say the wrong thing. You come across less than confident, and all that money that you spend in marketing, guess what you just did? Just lit it on fire, right? So what we want to do is give you some of the language, give you some of the psychology, give you some of the tonality to help you when you're negotiating with a seller. It's really, really important, right? So we'll talk a little about seller psychology tonight and how to spot a motivated seller and how to work with a motivated seller. But really what you're doing is communicating with somebody as a human being, right? And so the way we always start this off is Mark just introduced himself. So for those of you that don't know, I'm Rob Chevez. I'm one of the facilitators of the Reston Investment Grid Group. We've got locations now in like 30 some odd chapters across the US, and they're all led by leaders who pour into the community just like you guys and online to help you guys build wealth, because that's the purpose here, right? We want to build wealth. And so tonight's topic is a topic I'd love to talk about because it is about seller psychology, right? And there's a lot to it. So why don't we start off though with some basic intros so you guys kind of get a feel for the room real fast. Rosanna, introduce yourself. Let's start with you.
Hi, I'm Rosanna. I'm an agent in this office, and me and my husband owns an appliance repair company that does heating and cooling and appliances.
Yeah.
So if you guys need any help with that, I'm your girl.
Yeah, and she, for all the rentals that we own, I call
And
Rosanna.
I think I picked up when you called.
Yep,
Yeah.
and
For your dishwasher.
yep, and Uncle very nicely came out, said, here's what's wrong, here's what it would cost. This is a dishwasher that was only like 5 years old. Like, oh, it's gonna be like $400 for the part. Ooh, I wonder if I get a new one. Maybe nice, no pushy, no sellage, just, yep, if we can help, let me know, I get you the thing, you wanna get a new one, that's not a bad idea either. Like a dummy, like, oh, I'm just gonna go get another one then, we buy appliances all the time. You tried to buy appliances lately?
Oh my God, they're
crazy.
Back ordered.
Yeah, the back order appliance is crazy.
Impossible. So by the time I finally talked myself and then got over the wife acceptance factor of whatever we did find, I'm like $1,200 into a dishwasher. Fix the one that we had that was perfectly happy with. If that little pump ran out, it would have been much better off. Because by the way, the new thing, not even as good as the last thing at 3 times the price. It's just terrible. So good resource for getting things fixed. Just fix your old thing. Don't
By
buy
the way,
them.
I'm kept looking when you say negotiating. I'm trying to, I intend to learn how to negotiate with my twins.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a good place to learn.
Saying negotiating. I'm like, do you have any tips for negotiating with twins?
I do.
11 months old?
Yeah, 11 months old. It's hard. There's
That's
a
why I
lot.
was keep looking at you and I'm just saying negotiating. I'm like, I gotta learn how to negotiate with them.
Well, we practice on our family, right, all the time. Our spouse is typically the best.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hey, Graham Tracy, real estate agent here in the Reston office, lead a small team with my wife, 3 of us, and yeah, looking to just this my second grid with you guys, so obviously it was good enough to come back, right? So no, I want to be able to better help investment clients, but also start to get into some investment ourselves when we learned a little bit more. So.
Yeah, cool, for sure.
Good to see.
Cool.
How you doing, guys? I'm Coleman Bales. I'm a mortgage lender by day, working for McLean Mortgage, but I'm here learning about real estate investing. I've been doing that for about a year and a half, maybe at this point. Yeah.
You flipped a couple properties earlier this year,
Mm-hmm.
right? Did well on those properties, got the bug.
Absolutely.
Right. You have one under contract right now?
Well, it's not, I mean, you own the one.
Oh, you own it.
Sell it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great.
I'm Michelle, and I'm also an agent in this office, and I've been coming to these meetings just learning along the way. And this year, I have 4 investor clients, so I am deep in it.
Cool.
Those who are buy and hold, others who want the equity investment, one who's flipping, and one with overseas money. So Rob helped me find a lender who could help accommodate someone who doesn't have, who has lots of cash, just not here. So learning a lot about that as well.
They got a lot of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, no, not
No, I'm
Bitcoin.
joking.
They don't actually have Bitcoin.
we'll actually have a meeting on that. So no, go ahead.
My name's Harold. I'm like completely new to the investing. I bought a book recently. I mean, I do invest in like the stock market, but I want to get into the real estate investing. So I've read a few books and I'm looking to get like my first investment property.
Awesome.
I just need to like figure a way to like navigate through the housing market.
Sure.
As it is right now. I have no idea what's going on or
We'll talk about
or
that.
if
a
it's
little bit.
eventually going to go down, you know, so.
Yeah, we'll have a quick little banter back and forth on that. Hey, what book did you read? I'm curious.
I've read like, it was by Brandon Turner.
Yep.
I've read like 3 or 4 of his books. One was No Money, No Down Payment, just his one Real Estate Investments, which I think was like his first book. And now I'm on property managing right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I got like a book on the Burr method. So I'm just trying to get my feet in.
Sure. Burr's your way to wealth,
Yeah.
right? I actually was on the phone with those guys today. Like we're working like a pilot program with them and it's, you know, they're great.
Mhm.
You know, they're a great source.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Ali Devar. I work with Rob and Mark here in this office of the CAZA Group. I work with a lot of investors, helping them maximize their properties when they're sell or finding rentals. Been doing that for a couple of years with Rob here and love it.
Yeah. I think we took 12 listings from one investor.
Yeah, we took 10. We got 3 more coming in DC from one developer. We have 2 more units in DC right now. One on the contract, one coming on the market from another.
We work with a lot of developers to help them sell their product, to get their product off, you know, off the books. They specialize in finding them and building them. And
We specialize in making more money for them.
yeah, we specialize in helping them sell it for more. So in the back.
Hi, I'm Kevin. It's my first time here today.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I'm in a healthcare field and I own one or couple property, but I'm now I'm a newbie trying to get into real estate investing.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Right, welcome. Okay. So we got some people online too.
We got some of our buddies online there too. And for those of you online, feel free to say hello in the old chat box there at the bottom. Drop your contact information. We'll certainly get it. Folks here in the room can see it. You can share with one another. And please keep yourself on mute when you can. But if you have a question, feel free to shout it out. And that works doubly for everybody in the room, right? This is a conversation. This is not really just about us up here spouting off on stuff. We are far from gurus. We'll just talk about the business, how it works for us, right? So please, if you have a question about it, you have a thought about it, you have an opinion on it, you think we're just flat wrong,
Yeah,
raise your hand.
this is a mastermind, right? And so obviously Mark and I have been doing this for 15 years, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit longer.
Yep.
And, but we, you know, this is a collaboration with everybody that's online and then everybody in this room. You've got questions, raise your hand. We'll do our best to answer those questions. If we don't know, we'll say we don't know, right? We're just going to share with you what we know,
Yep.
right?
So what do we know about the market for this year and beyond?
So the market's like, you know, the market is, beginning of the year was challenging putting properties under contract. Like the competition, more fierce than ever. I didn't think it could get more competitive than it was, you know, than last year. And it was more competitive at the beginning of this year. So there was a lot of teams, a lot of agents, a lot of investors that were struggling getting property under contract. It's opened up a little bit. You saw more product hit the market. You saw some buyers decide, you know, uncle, because interest rates, you know, went up and now they were no longer qualifying, or they just got flat tired, right? They didn't want to do it. To answer your question, you know, I think real estate is going to continue to go strong for some time. I do think we are entering into a recession, just to give you a heads up, but real estate is one of those assets that's tracking with inflation. So combination of those asset values holding, the underlying mortgages are good, and no inventory in the market. We're 4 million homes short in the US due to household creation. So builders didn't build fast enough to keep pace with the number of babies that were making and new household formations happening, right? Because you had the twins, right? Right. And then the other, and so that's causing the shortage. And the other thing is there's people that have like a 2.2% interest rate to sell the thing that they have at 2.2, to release that to go get something now at 4.75. Coleman, where's the interest rate right now?
Yeah, today I saw it was at 4.75 in the morning, 4.875.
Yeah, 4.75, right? 5%, like, so it's going, there's gonna be people that are just like, okay, no, right? Which will open up the market a bit. Speaking to Jad, I do think that you'll see you won't see as many offers on each individual property, which could open up some opportunity.
Yeah. And so the question is, so great, that means less competition for what's out there when you go to buy. Then that also means less competition for what you have to sell when you go to sell.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, right now the market isn't healthy. It's a complete imbalance, right?
I think a lot of expert type of people agree with that, right? So a couple of articles I saw on Inman, one of them was suggesting that price inflation has now outpaced fundamentals. Incomes had gone up. There was still this undersupply of housing, but taking all that into consideration, price has still risen now faster and to a greater degree than it should, based strictly on fundamentals, which means it's something else that's driving it. Fear, greed, one of the non-fundamental things driving price increases. And that's not good, because that's not sustainable.
So one of the things I would look at, if I was you, right, is look at inventory levels.
Okay.
Like, what are inventory levels? Yeah. Right now, we are, what was it? Average days on market is like 15. I mean, on our team, average days on market is 5 before it goes into the contract. So there's less than a month supply or half a month supply in many of these markets. And so there isn't any inventory. But as soon as you start seeing that creep up, you'll start seeing the ability to potentially get some deals. But here's the thing, you know what a balanced market is? How many months supply is a balanced market? Yeah. Gary Keller the other day said, balanced supply is 6 months. You said 4, somewhere between 4 to 6, yep. Right? It's definitely a balanced market. So, I mean, it is a seller's market, hardcore right now. So we will, continue to monitor inventory levels. And, I spoke to a good friend of mine that owns a recruiting company. He said for the first time, companies are saying to him, hey, we're not looking to hire this quarter. So sometimes that's a little bit for me, what is it, a canary in a coal mine?
Yeah.
Right.
If you care about these kinds of things, defaults and foreclosures are rising. They're rising out of, though, an artificially low environment post-COVID when there were moratoria in place. So it would have to go up from practically zero, but they are still rising, but still not even at the pre-COVID rate. So still a ways to go there.
Yes, ma'am.
So just curious, like, what do you think would happen to the people who did the forbearance program? Like, are they eventually going to be hit with?
They're getting tacked. A lot of them, those payments are being tacked to the back of the loan. Mm-hmm. I was told that some of those people are not putting them in the back of the loan. Some banks are not, and people are in default right now. I heard that. I haven't seen it. I haven't experienced it, but we were talking to Cornerstone. So, Cornerstone is like a housing service company in this area. And they said that the increase for people that were coming to them that were in default status had risen something like 500%.
Oh, wow.
Right? So, but still, I think it's too early to tell. We'll see.
Because when the COVID, like, everything shut down, like, me and my husband, we got really scared because there's like, business was just
nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So I called Navy Federal, I called our PennyMed, I think that's who we have our loan with. And they were like, oh, we can do the forbearance. And it sounded great. When I got the letter, it told me how much I had to pay at month 3, and I called them back. I said, no, this is not what you told me.
Mhm.
I wrote it down, and then we decided to just check into our savings and just pay our mortgage.
Wow,
And then we refinanced at 2.7,
okay,
which was
great.
Which was great. Yes,
Great.
now that, because we were very hesitant to refinance, but I'm so glad we did.
Yes, there you go.
But it's-
Okay, well, let's talk about what we're talking about.
All right, what we're talking about tonight is a bunch of mumbo jumbo, important legal stuff, not attorneys, not accountants. Take it for what you will, or just don't take it to the bank, because it's not money, but it's knowledge, which is as good as money. What's the knowledge about?
It's better than money,
It's
actually.
better than money.
Uh,
So the knowledge you're gonna get tonight is talking about what a motivated seller is and how to talk to them, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the thing that we should start off with is this is what we're looking for. This is what we buy. The house is just the widget that allows us to help a person that needs a particular kind of help that we can offer, and that we can add value to a thing and hopefully sell it for more than what we've got into it. Everybody says, I'm looking for a deal. I'm looking for a deal. Yeah, I'm looking for a deal. There's no such thing as a deal out there. There are people who have homes that they need or want to sell. If you can help those people that need your particular help and buy a home for less than full market value, add some value to it and then resell it, now you're in the real estate business. But the faster you reframe your thinking to, I'm looking for a deal, to, I want to be in a conversation with a person who maybe has a particular need that I can solve, you will be that much better off, because that frames the kinds of discussions you want to have, the kinds of things you should tell other people, the kinds of things you're listening for from other people to hear and pick up on and say, oh, wait, that sounds like something that maybe I would like to get
When
involved
I first started in the business and I was trying to understand and navigate, like, how do you find a deal, right? I didn't understand that the types of properties and the types of situations that Mark is describing, typically they're massive issues, right? In fact, I was at his house on Sunday where we're going over this plans for this Airbnb that we just bought, and Hoarders was on, right? And that we were talking about, like, that is a, you know, that is a, what'd you call it? Site, how'd you refer to it?
It's, I don't like to say disorder, but
It is a disorder.
it's a mental block, a mental and psychological block that some people have surrounding things and the collection of things that causes big problems in their life. And it is a disorder when it's causing a problem in your life, right? Anything that takes you out of order is a disorder. And we know what that looks like in real life.
Yeah,
And
we
you will know
purchased houses like that.
when you go into a home of someone that has a hoarding disorder, you will know it. It's not messy, it's not cluttered, it's hoarded, and it's different. Watch the TV show, and that is,
I
we've
can't
bought
even-
those houses.
Have you ever been to one?
No, I can't even watch the TV show.
No, you can't watch it?
No,
Yeah.
I have the opposite problems.
Okay, you have an OCD, everything is gonna, right?
And my twins are driving me crazy sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Well, I mean, that is a situation where when I first got in, I thought I was trying to negotiate kind of like a pretty looking house or somewhat, you know, a house that maybe needed some cosmetics to it at 70 cents on the dollar minus reno, but that wasn't the game. Like, the game's really when somebody has a major issue and or the house has a major issue, and they've been in that issue for an extended period of time, right? So it could be where there's like mold in the basement and they've been in that house for an extended period of time. It could be a hoarding situation where they've been in that for an extended period of time. It could be where, you know, they lost their job due to COVID and the bank said that they were going to work with them and then didn't. They received a letter.
I mean, who
Yeah,
reads
and
it?
now they said,
Like,
oh, you know
nobody
what?
reads
Like,
the letter.
yeah, you owe us 50,000, 100,000 of all the back payments that you haven't paid. And now they find themselves in this issue, but they've been in that issue for an extended period of time looking for a new job. And now they're in distress, right?
Right.
And so typically distress can happen some different ways. Like, you've got drugs, divorce,
Mhm.
death.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Debt.
Yep.
What else am I missing? All of those
So,
D's,
We've
right?
got some more. I think we got a whole slide about it.
Yeah.
And so what those are though are circumstances. Those are
Circumstances.
circumstances in someone's life that has created a problem, that has created some disorder in their life, if not an actual disorder on their person. That is a problem that needs solved through some external thing, right? These are problems that people are not solving themselves.
That's
Someone
right.
else
There's a
needs to come
mental
and solve
block.
the problem, right?
That's like a mental block. And they're afraid to actually confront the issue and put it out to the world.
Yep.
And so they don't want to go retail.
Yep.
They'd rather go wholesale because they're worried about their neighbors finding out.
Embarrassment factor.
Yeah.
Right? So those are circumstances. Then the other thing that we say motivates people are emotions. And so we'll get into some of those. But circumstance and emotion are the things that we're talking about that are motivating factors that can motivate eventually someone to do something, to seek help, or to accept the help of someone that says, this is okay. I can help here. I see what's happening and I can help navigate whatever this thing is that you're dealing with. And as it relates to the real estate, I can take this problem away from you, right? Offer the solution. Definitely, we're a problem solver. We're solving this. So circumstance and emotion are the two biggest motivating factors for people that might cause them to do something that we can help with or need a solution that we can offer. So circumstance, these are the things, Rob, that you were just talking about. Circumstances that motivate people have to do with property condition. The house has been let go. We all know what that house kind of looks like from the outside, right? Gutter kind of dangling off, broken windows, obvious hole, tarp on top of the roof. House has needs, and usually there's something going on with the person that owns that house where they can't afford it, or they don't want to deal with it, or they like to walk in and just have blinders on to what you're walking into every day. Something physically wrong with this house that someone ultimately is going to have to deal with, but the person who owns it right now is clearly not dealing with it, right? Mm-hmm. So there are financial things, like you were talking about, job loss, interest rate adjustments. That was a big one before, as people had adjustable rate mortgages. Those
2006,
right?
2007, that was like a bomb that went off. And all of a sudden payments went from $2,000 a month to $4,000 a month.
Yep.
That caused massive issues for people.
Yep. Go to move to a new home and haven't sold your old one yet. And then all of a sudden, oh, it actually isn't worth what I thought it was. It's not selling. It needs some work. Again, in this market, not nearly as prevalent, but there will be a time when houses don't sell as quickly. And sometimes people still do move and end up with two mortgages that increasingly become a financial burden. Time is a circumstance. So I've been relocated, or I really want to move, or I really need to move, and didn't do anything about it. And now I need to be gone in a couple of weeks. And by the way, does this happen all the time? No, most of these things don't happen all the time. But are there people who wait until 10 days before they're supposed to be on the other side of the country to figure out what to do with their house? Yeah. And when that happens, that's a problem. And that's a situation and a circumstance where perhaps you can be of some assistance. Time runs out on you if you're in the foreclosure process. Eventually, banks will come and foreclose on your property. You do have a window of time to act on that, but are there people out there who choose not to act until 72 hours before the hammer is about to drop on the auction?
And then they call.
Yes, and that's right. And that's a lot of times when you get the call, oh, I got this last, they said the auction Friday at 12. By the way, oftentimes, if the hammer hasn't come down, you can oftentimes do something.
We can stop it. We could, there's lots of different things that we can do.
Different things you can do, but the time is the issue, right? We're out of time. Something has got to happen with this house, and now we're out of time. And then there's the stuff you talked about with just inheriting a house or being a landlord to a house that is just no longer convenient to your lifestyle. I have inherited this house because my folks have now moved into.
Yeah, out of state landlords is a real thing, right? Like where you're not paying attention to it. It's 3,000 miles away.
Yep.
And you are a busy individual. you've got other things going on, people are wrecking your house 3,000 miles away, you don't know how to deal with that, it's a headache to you, you don't have the funds to fix it, you just want somebody to solve the problem, right?
And a lot of times these things are stacked. There will be multiple of these issues going on. And the more of these things that you are facing, the bigger the problem, which means the bigger the solution, which for us provides generally the bigger the opportunity. Oh, you need as is condition closed quickly by someone who can also stop this other bad thing from happening on Friday. Fine, we can help you. Here's how the process works, right? But that is generally where we find our biggest opportunities when there are a lot of problems to solve, right? Including usually the physical condition of the house. So those are circumstances, right? I don't know, do we miss anything else that can be a big motivating
there's lots of
circumstance?
stuff.
There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It's anything that keeps you from dealing with the property, and it doesn't have to necessarily be the condition, but anything that keeps you from dealing with a house that now all of a sudden I do need to deal with in its current condition in a quick amount of time. So the other thing then are emotions. And what are the emotional things you talked about, like divorce, right? We're splitting up. Yeah, it'd be great. We want to get as much money out of this house as we can, but mostly I just hate you, need to be away from you, and want to burn my half of this thing, or more preferably burn your half of the thing. Stuff's talking about getting burned, right? These people are no longer emotionally attached to this house as a home. They're emotionally attached to getting out from the
I
situation.
mean, I've had situations where that, like, they were willing to walk away from hundreds of thousands of dollars just to hurt the other person, right? Let the property go into foreclosure because I don't want her to get it. And I'm going, dude, this is 100,000 in your pocket, right?
Right.
I know you don't like her. But like, let's put 100,000 in your, and I'm on the other side, helping the other. It's just like you have to bridge the gap sometimes with those two. And emotion gets in the way. They're like, because if it goes down, we're just gonna let it go down.
And that's why it's called seller psychology, right?
Yeah.
There's psychology here. There's emotions here.
Well, this is what tonight's all about. It's all about psychology.
Yeah. And the better you are at determining what the motivating factor is and trying to kind of bridge those gaps if you need to between other people, you might be the only person these two people are talking to at the same time. That's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Everybody else is hated. So if you can be the one that says, I understand what's going on with you, I can help you. I understand what's going on with you, I can help you. Maybe we meet in the middle and we try to find some kind of happy resolution here.
Can you see how you start looking at dealing with this? You are literally almost like a therapist, right? If you're moving somebody from a hoarding situation, like you're gonna have to be considerate of that, gentle with that conversation, helpful with that conversation to move somebody from where they are to where they want to go, right? And so you got to solve that problem. Same thing with divorce, same thing,
So it stands to reason then, like in the hoarding situation, probably not the best thing to do, that if you find the conversation, however you get there, you get to the house, the person's living there, and it's a hoarded situation. Maybe they'll walk in and go, how are you, why? That's probably not what that person's going to respond to, right? So you have to suppress the shock. You have to suppress the horror. You have to cover the nose as gently and inconspicuously as you can. And it's like, okay, I see, maybe we would maybe want to kind of shuffle a thing around or two, right? We can joke about it. Like everybody gets it. They understand the situation. They just can't move past it on their own for themselves. But without judgment, without making horrible noises, it's okay. I see we might have a thing or two to move around. That's the thing we can do. But the embarrassment is a huge emotional block for some people because they know the situation, but they don't want anyone else to know about the situation, right?
Yeah.
So that's the opportunity. If you come in without judgment, offering help, listening, whatever the situation is about how you got here. I always tell people, I can't believe this is, I know it's hideous, you can't even get in here. You should see my place. Walking to enough hoarding houses, you keep a clean house, but I don't tell anybody. I say, oh, you should see my place. You see the way I left my living room today.
Yeah, it's about building rapport, right?
It's rapport.
So we're gonna go through this piece, and it's about, you gotta get people to know you, like you, and trust you. That's really rapport building. It's like, how do you build rapport? You build rapport by asking questions, drawing similarities, like you said, hey, you should look at my place, and getting people to connect. You're trying to connect at the human level, right? This is, when you're an investor, you're literally connecting with people when you're putting property under contract at a human level to solve the problem. So I don't know if you have slides for this, but we're gonna have to go through, like, what does it sound like? What's the tone like? How do you approach it? There's a lot to that, because if you walk in the house, like you said, and you've got an adverse reaction, guess what? You're done. You're not gonna get that house.
Let's get into that, but then there's the last thing, I think you mentioned this one too. That can be an emotional thing. A bad rental property,
Oh, yeah.
right, is an emotional thing. Like, I am done getting calls from this person about this thing not working. I am done having to chase these people for their rent. I am done going back into a house that's been destroyed and trying to clean it up and start this all over again. There can be an emotional, there's emotional baggage around bad rental properties, which is why FC landlord, we like it such a good market.
Yeah, so I mean, some people enter into owning rental properties knowing it's a business, and some people enter into a rental property because they inherited a property, and now it's really a problem to them. It's a distraction. They don't want to deal with it. There's a lot of equity in it. It's just more of a headache than anything else. They're willing to trade speed and convenience for equity, right? And absentee, like, I know, I talk about this, I own a rental that is just like a thorn in my side, that I've shut the property down because it's in a bad street, in a bad area. And the thing's like, it's just a thorn in my side. I don't even want to deal with it, right? Somebody came and made the right offer, like, I'd just sell it and lose money on it because it's just a bad investment. That happens, right?
It happens to everyone, including a professional real estate investor.
Yeah.
I'm done with this could be someone else's.
Opportunity.
I'd be willing to take this on. So really, somebody actually make an offer. I've heard you say this before. Has anyone actually made the offer yet?
I haven't put it out to the market.
Somebody needs to make you an offer.
I don't want to go through it. So much of that. I don't want to go through it, right?
We're going to get to this too, by the way. This is called negative selling. Oh, it's terrible. You should take it. I don't want it. It's terrible. It's not a great property. But we're talking about, circumstances and emotion, and so that leads to needs and wants. A person motivated by circumstance needs to sell the house. There are circumstances that will force their hand eventually. If they don't do something, they need to take some kind of action. And then emotion leads to wanting. I want out of this. I want this out of my life. I want to no longer deal with this, right? So that's all that we're thinking about. What do you need? What do you want? And the better you are at understanding what someone needs or what they want and articulating a solution, the more deals you're going to get, right?
Mm-hmm.
Deals come from understanding what people need and want and providing a solution to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the gist of it. So now we've got our opportunity, right? So phone call, an introduction from another agent, response from your marketing, whatever it is, you are now either calling or getting a call from someone that you want to find out if they're a motivated seller. How does it sound?
Couple things. One, it's a big difference if you're making the call or if the call is coming in, right? So most of the time, what we would do is we'd send out thousands of letters and we'd get people to call in. They'll say, I got your letter. I want to sell my house. And you go, great, cool. Tell me a little bit about the house that you're thinking about selling, right? And then they go in to describe the home. And typically what they're doing is that they're downplaying problems, right? Because they've got their sales hat on, I want to sell it. And so I might say something like, cool, sounds like an awesome property. Why haven't you put it on the market with a real estate agent? Just out of curiosity. So I take it to where most people don't want to take it, right? And he's like, I just don't want people coming through my house and I just want to get a clean cash offer, right? well, cool, it sounds like it's a pretty nice house. You said that you recently renovated some of this. Well, it needs a little bit more work than that, right? So you start, this is the negative selling that we were talking about, right? It's trying to uncover the reality of what the situation is, right? But tone is super important in this process. If I said, okay, Cole, tell me about your house. Okay. That's a very like straight to it, hardcore, might scare the person on the other line. Let's say, hey, Cole, thanks so much for calling. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your house and we'll see whether or not it really fits what we try to buy, right? Very open-ended, warm, right? Easy, no pressure. And then I just want Cole to talk, right? Say, so Cole, tell me a little bit about the age of the roof. How about the kitchen? When was the last time that you updated kitchens and bathrooms? Like, awesome, cool. Tell me a little bit more about the situation. Why have you decided that potentially you don't want to put it on the market, right, with an agent? So the more that you can uncover from that initial discussion, the more ammunition you have, right, in this process.
And the less time you will waste if they're not motivated. I don't know that we have like a special piece on this, but by the way, the other thing that you want is to be in discussions with motivated sellers. You do not want to spend any more time than necessary discussing the state of the real estate market with a non-motivated seller, or even worse, wasting your time to go and meet with someone who's like, oh yeah, I saw the one across the street, sold for $750. My agent's ready to list it, so you don't want to pay $750, now let's put it on the market. Great, you wasted your entire day to go talk to that person. They are not motivated. So the two things you're trying to do here is determine motivation, and then determine if there's not motivation, to politely say, okay, well, I don't believe I'm the solution for you. You should probably talk to a great agent. Oh, by the way, I know one if you don't have one, that might be the solution for you. And that again is another kind of negative selling, right? I'm probably not the solution for you based on what you just told me. Can I put you in touch with someone who might be? And then you'll get one or two responses. Fine, pass me their information. Or, well, probably I'm going to have to find somebody because I bet I can't sell it because there's a giant crack in the foundation and there's lava coming up through the floor. One way or the other, if they're really motivated, you won't be able to talk them out of dealing with you, right? The other thing that you have to kind of realize and see and recognize through a little bit of experience is motivation will come through on its own, right? You think, well, why would I try to talk these people out of it? They'll talk you back into it, right?
I got to get rid of this house. I need to move by like next month, right? I had a contract with my home and it fell out. And I don't want to put it back on the market now, right? Like you will hear sincere motivation. The person that's looking for retail, you just want to eliminate that quickly. Say, hey, it sounds like your home's a beautiful home. You're looking for more of a retail price. We're not really the right buyer for you in that case. You should talk to Coleman. He's a great agent. He specializes in your area. I can give you his number or have him call you, right? And oh, by the way, Coleman and I have worked out a I don't say this, but we have a referral fee kind of agreement, right? So if I send you the deal, you get the listing, then you're going to pay me a referral fee, right? But that's how you monetize retail type of leads. But we're just looking for people that say, Mark, I have to sell this, right? Like, I'm being forced by the court to sell it.
Right. The circumstance. You are trying to get to the circumstance, or you are trying to get to this house sucks. It's in a bad market. It's in a bad street. All the stuff he just said about the house he's trying to get rid of. You want somebody to say that about this place that you've just talked to them about, that you're talking to them about now. Those are the things that you need to hear. So that's why it's friendly but authoritative. You keep asking questions. Great. So can you tell me more about the house and when it's been renovated, or how long have you owned it? How long do you live there? Oh, you don't live there.
And
How did you come to own this?
One of the things, if you just see, is his tone is natural with it, but he's downward swinging. And when you downward swing, it's actually a sign of authority in a discussion, right? So if I go, so what do you want to sell it for? Right? It's like, I'm a little ambiguous. I'm a little scared almost. Mm-hmm. And people pick up on that. And so what you want to do is just say, okay, Rosanna, what would you like to sell it for? And it's a little bit more downward swing, right? And so you just friendly, the idea is friendly, but keeping authority in your voice and downward swing in it. Make sense?
So, add a twist, and if it's appropriate later in the
Sure.
thing. I am on a row of 8, cluster of townhouses here in Reston, 32 in the cluster, four rows of 8. I've been there 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
This one house is empty.
Mhm.
I've been told he did some remodeling at some point before he left. I knew the man when I first moved in. He wasn't there very long before he left to go to California.
Mhm.
He's come back once and left.
Mhm.
He's paying his taxes, so he's owned the house. He's
Sure.
surely not in distress. He's almost 80. We have an address in Louisiana. I've written to it.
Sure.
No response.
Have you called them?
I haven't called him.
So you're gonna just true people search.
But now, and the man who lives next to him's retired and he's moving to Williamsburg, so he's asking me about the market and whatnot. So, because they're next to each other, I'm like, do you have a pest problem? And I can't believe the house has been empty for this long. And he's like, no, we've had like a mouse. I'm like, okay, so nothing worse than any rest of us. But now the siding, the cedar siding is starting to come off at the roof line. Several of us have had to repair it this year. So the outside is finally starting to,
Deteriorate.
yeah. The yard has rocks, so that part of it, it has looked okay, but nobody's ever been able to engage him. He pays his taxes. I believe he's paying the rest of.
Nobody's followed up with him enough times.
Okay.
He will sell it eventually. That property there was a house in my neighborhood, 15 years was vacant, right? And every year I would call the guy and he was like, nah, I'm interested in keeping, no, I'm interested in, I'm going to keep it. And finally one year he was like, yeah, I'm going to sell it, right? And so we had a shot at buying it. Somebody offered more because once he went, it wasn't just us, he talked to us and then he talked to a neighbor had given him the name of somebody, a realtor in the neighborhood, another realtor, and they ended up paying a stupid number for it. But you will eventually, he will eventually do it. So you need to develop rapport with him now, because the statistics show that they'll just deal with the first person they talk to and they actually get along with. Right.
The HOA, our cluster HOA has been going after him, but he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He owes a little bit to the cluster.
So what I would do
Not
is
that bad.
truepeoplesearch.com. You put in the address or his name, he'll give you a phone number, and you call him tomorrow. And then I expect, hey, Rob, this is how it went. And the call sounds something like this. It's just like, hey, Michelle, my name's Rob. I buy property in the area. I noticed you in this home. It's been vacant for a long time. I live in the neighborhood. I'm just curious if you're interested in selling it anytime in the near future, because I might be interested in buying it.
And maybe the answer is no, but you put it out there, say, when and if you ever do get ready. As I said, I'm an investor, so I buy houses in any condition whatsoever. I generally fix them up a little bit. So if it's not in great condition, that actually works pretty well for me. Because I like to kind of put my little spin on it and I clean them up and then I try to sell them. Ever think it might make any sense, let me know. Might not be motivated that day.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you ask him, he's going to give you one or two answers. No.
Right.
Or I've been thinking about it. Right.
But you said something different. I'll buy the house.
I'll buy the
You
house.
know I'm not in a position to do that.
Yes, you
Yes,
are.
you are.
This is what people don't know. You are in the position to buy the house. Everybody thinks that it requires money. It doesn't. What it requires is knowledge, right? And if you have the knowledge of what a deal is, and you put that property under contract, you could then bring that contract to us and we could partner with you on it, or you could sell us the contract. Right? So do not let that get in the way of you doing a deal. This is why you come to this, because you will.
It's interesting what you just said. You said, say that you can buy it anyways, even in your head, you're like, well, I can't afford it.
See, what happens is everybody thinks that this game is played with their own money.
And I'm not an investor until I have some giant pile of cash to go buy houses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think like that.
Yeah, that's right. That's how most people think.
Partner with
Yeah.
Rob.
What-
Partner with
yeah.
someone with money.
What you need is knowledge, right? You need knowledge of what a deal is. You need knowledge of what what things cost, and you need the ability to communicate with people to understand what it is that they want and what they need, right? And when you know those things, you now are valuable because you can actually put that property under contract. And you, by the way, you never need to settle on it. This is why we teach these classes. Like, you can literally sell us that contract. We would more than willing to buy it. This is why we show you guys how to do this. Or you just partner with us. Like, we will buy it.
I did my first several rehab deals with absolutely $0 invested into the deal. None. No dollars at all. So it's definitely not a money thing.
It's not a money thing, right? It's a knowledge thing. And it's a belief thing. Like, once you start seeing, oh, this game is played all the time, like, money is never the issue. The hardest part is finding the circumstance, finding the deal. So what you get paid for is negotiating, right? You get paid for putting that property under contract and solving a problem. That makes sense?
So maybe your neighbor doesn't have a problem yet, but your job is to be there the day he realizes, all right, this is a problem. Now I have to do something.
I already know Michelle. I already like her. I already trust her. Like, and what happens is they'll call you, say, hey, I'm thinking about selling this, and I know it needs some work. I don't want to do the work. I live in California. And at that point, you know, he might say, this is what I'm looking for. Maybe the number is an attractive number, or maybe the number is like completely cuckoo for cocoa buds, like way too high. And then you would be like, ooh, that sounds like that's a retail price. I can't help you there. That's definitely retail. You know, we buy properties at below retail because we solve the problems. We buy them with as is, with no, you know, financing, no appraisal. We make the process super easy for somebody. And so so don't let that stop, right? The big thing here, guys, is developing a relationship, right? Asking questions.
You want someone to know, like, and trust you.
Yeah.
You want them to feel like you're not lying, so we try not to lie, and that you actually are offering some kind of help, right? I've never talked my way into a house. If he's not ready to sell and he's not motivated, you're not going to get them motivated.
Yeah.
Motivation must come from within. Circumstance or emotion, they have a need or a want. Once that happens, that's when you want to be in the discussion, and you want
It's like a
to
pipeline,
be in-
just like you in our regular sales business. It's a pipeline of people that you have at different stages.
Oh, when I bring it to him before, I've offered to sell the house for him. I didn't offer to buy the house.
Yeah, that's fine.
And change the conversation.
Yeah, you do this. Call him and tomorrow, just be like, I'm interested in buying it. See what he says, right? And then he would say, okay, I might be interested in talking to you about it. It will change everything.
And just, you know, being an agent too, like, if he does give you a number that's for you cuckoo, but it is like a retail price, then you can talk about, you know, I can't buy it, that's really retail price, but if it's within the realm, you could go into a listing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I could, you know, what I mean?
There's
But I
there's
feel like,
multiple
yeah,
layers to that
yeah,
options.
exactly. Yeah.
What is it gonna take to get to that price?
What's the next one? Oh, ask
So
questions.
these are some of the questions that you ask, and the first few of these questions are particular to if someone has called you, right? So if you're doing any kind of marketing at all, or you just told people, a bunch of business cards, I buy houses. If you ever know anyone that has a house and they have some kind of problem and they need some help, please have them reach out. I like to help people with problems with their houses. Then one of them calls you. These first few questions are for that situation. One, how did you hear about me, us, whether you're a business, however you're doing it? Because if you're doing any kind of marketing, or if you've gotten you gave a business card, they told somebody else, you want to know, where did this opportunity come from? Oh, I got your postcard. Great. Now I know the postcard worked. Oh, I saw the letter then. Great. I saw your bandit sign nailed up to the side of a tree. Cool. I know the sign worked. Or so-and-so told me to call you about it. Cool. I minimally need to thank that person. Possibly need to find some way to compensate them.
Or you use, right, call tracking phone numbers, which is what we do now. And so each piece of marketing has its own phone number, and you know already where that came from, right? You know it's going to be from a bandit sign, you know it's a postcard, you know it's a letter because of the number that they called.
Right.
Right. And we use, by the way, for that, we use CallRail. I think that's what we use. So there's lots of different services out there.
Yep, that just kind of tweaks and automates and systematizes some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Keep track of it.
Yeah.
Second thing, is your house on the market? Kind of basic fundamental question. You'd be surprised how many people will chat you up for 45 minutes about the house and say, well, yeah, it's listed now. Or you say, okay, I can pay you $250. Well, it's listed for $290. If you had only asked at the beginning, you could have made your life a lot simpler. Is the house on the market now? No. And by the way, it's never going to be a situation of, why didn't I think of that? He's right. Why have I called this guy and says he buys houses as is for cash when I should just sell it? They know if they're motivated, everybody knows about the good old fashioned way to sell a house. There will be a reason. That would be a really good way to start the conversation. Is the house on the market? No, no one's going to want to buy it because blah, blah, blah. No, I don't live here. I just inherited the house. I'm just trying to figure out who to talk to about it, right? Is the house on the market is a really good opening question, because it's not like you're going to accidentally tell them that, oh, by the way, I could hire a great agent and sell this house for top dollar. Everybody knows that. If you are on the market, yeah, actually house is listed. Oh, okay, great. What's it listed for? $245. Have you had any offers? Yes, I have 2 offers in hand right now. Great. How much are they? Ask nosy. Almost at that point, not insulting, but just ask up front. Great. How many offers? What's your highest offer? What are you looking for? Because this is probably not a deal for you, right? It's listed and they have offers. They just happen to hear that you buy houses too. Let me just try and see if some dummy will buy it for cash for the same amount that somebody else has got a max out FHA loan to buy the house for. The answer is no, but don't waste your time now talking about it. Is it listed? Yes. Great. Have any offers? Yes. Great. How much? Well, it doesn't matter. What would you pay for it? I can't help you. I'm not the right solution for you. Don't waste any more of your time with that person. That person is both not motivated, and you don't have many other offers of solution to help them because they've got a good one. They've got offers. Why are you selling? Great question. I'd like to, you guys buy houses? Yes, absolutely. What's property address? Great question. Number 2, why are you selling? And then let them start to tell you about the house. And then the rest of it,
But it's all tone.
is tone. Yes, I'm sorry. Not like, why are you selling? Not
Okay.
accusatory.
It's tone. So there's a really good book. It's Chris Voss's book. It is Never Split the Difference. Great book. And what he talks about in there is tactical empathy. Tactical empathy is like, you know, listening, empathizing, not agreeing, but just reframing a lot of like what they're already saying so that they feel like they're heard. And a lot of it has to do with people want to feel like they're understood before you can ever influence them. And the only way that can happen is by asking open-ended questions, just out of curiosity, like why are you selling? Right? Why are you selling? Just out of curiosity. Right? Tell me a little bit more about that. Why have you decided that now is the time to sell? Right? Is the property currently listed?
Sorry,
What's that?
I was just gonna add, I've always heard too, that don't even use the word why, because why itself almost infers an accusation, because you're almost questioning the, like, why are you doing this? Like, I don't understand. But rather like, what has you selling? Or
Yeah,
what has
that's
you
great. What has you
thinking
selling?
about selling right now?
Oh, love that. What has you thinking about selling right now?
Yeah.
Right? Love that. Right? Learn something tonight.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, love that.
So you're asking physical questions about the house to try to determine if there's something going on, because usually, like you said, there's usually also something physical going on with the house that is a problem. Most people know if they've got a nice, pretty house, you know, typically end up needing to sell it to
I just
us.
have to say, I love that. What has you thinking about selling right now?
To reiterate.
No, let me tell
Write
you,
it down on the whiteboard.
that is
What
really
have you
good.
thinking about
Right?
selling?
I love that. Right? It's really, that's strong.
I'm gonna go through my other questions. You make that note, you write
I'm
that
sorry.
down, so everybody tomorrow, what has you thinking about selling? And what else needs to be fixed? If you were gonna fix this house up to sell it, what would you do? And people will then tell you, well, the bathrooms are terrible, the heat doesn't work, you should fix that. People will tell you what they think is wrong with the house if you ask. And they're motivated because they know someone's gonna find out about it eventually, so they'll tell you about it.
What has you thinking about
What
selling?
has you
I
thinking
don't
about
like my wife, right? I want out,
Yeah.
right?
That's what I just said.
Yeah. No, it is like, so open-ended questions is the biggest thing, right? What you're trying to do is uncover the why behind the why. Like, do they ever really give you the answer in the beginning? Never, never, right? So you have to just start peeling back the onion. It's like when you go shopping and somebody comes up to you and they're like, can I help you? Like, no, just, I'm just looking, right? Oh, you drove all the way here to the store to just to look, right?
I do that.
Yeah, well, I don't do that. I don't do that, right? So what brought you in today? Right, there you go. So it's, the words you use matter, right? So read that book.
Yeah. And then there are also some kind of probing personal questions that you probably wouldn't think normally to ask, but are perfectly appropriate to ask to a motivated seller. Is the mortgage current?
Mhm.
Doesn't matter really so much what the answer is, but if the answer is no, okay. Have you received any notices yet? Are you having to deal with anything with the bank? You got any kind of funky looking envelopes?
Can I give you a technique for, like, is the mortgage current, right? I think that's a great question to ask, but like, what's happened here over the last couple of years? Right, COVID. So what happens is you deflect the problem. You say, hey, a lot of people that have called us aren't current on their mortgage because of what's going on with COVID. Do you find yourself in that same situation?
That's great. Give them an out.
You give
Well,
people
I
an
like
out.
the way you say, is the mortgage current? It's not, are you current? Like, is there a mortgage on this property?
Right.
Great, is it current?
Give them,
You know, like,
give them the out. It's not about fault. It's
Yeah.
about what's the
the lack of the
circumstance.
the judgment.
Right. What's the circumstance? And is there an issue here we need to know about? So if it is not current, are there any pending actions that we need to know about? Because then you can also say, because by the way, that's not a problem. That is one of the kinds of things that a problem that we help people solve all the time is when there's not a lot of time because something is going on that we need to beat. We know how to beat it. Any other judgments or liens against the property that someone would need to know about that's got to buy it? Why do you need to know that? Because if you've been looking or they've already given you the address, you already knew where the house was, and all right, this house is worth $250,000 to me, and they just told me the mortgage is fine, and oh yeah, mortgage is good, I only owe like 200. All right, margins get a little bit thinner. Any other judgments or liens? Yeah, I owe the IRS about 90. Okay, we're now upside down, right? We are now in an upside down situation. Doesn't mean you can't help. In fact, that's a problem, isn't it? I have a house to sell that is worth less than what the market will pay. I don't know if anyone's heard this in about 4 years. The house is worth less than what the market. Well, more is owed on the house than what the market would pay. Short sale, right? I don't know if anybody remembers that. That was a thing. You can get a house sold for less than what's owed on it without somebody being foreclosed on it. It's just a negotiated process. Takes a lot of back and forth, takes a lot of patience, takes some help, right? That's how people can offer this deal you can get. But ask if there is anything going on with the mortgage, are there any legal judgments on the house that someone would need to know about?
Why don't we do this? Why don't we see if anybody's got any questions?
Okay.
And then also online, if anybody has any questions, you type in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and say, hey, I had this situation, or what would you do in this situation? How you handle it? By the way, do you think it's a privilege to go into the lien asking question right in the beginning? Probably not, right? Before in the beginning, so seek to understand their situation, and then you have the ability to ask questions. And many times what you could do is you could soften it, say, hey, do you mind if I ask you some questions around your mortgage? Because it'll help me understand whether or not I can truly help you. And you get permission from them. And then you have the ability to ask those questions, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Definitely not the first questions you ask.
Definitely not. But I just want to make sure that people know that, because like they'll have a list and they'll say, thank you for calling. How much do you owe? Right? Like, it's like, we don't want that to work, right?
And that can work too. It's just going to take a lot more at-bats if you start with that, then if you try to build rapport first, and then just, again, seek to understand, is there anything else we need to know before we'd be able to put the house under contract? Is there any outstanding judgment or lien that's going to need to get added into the sales price? Something like that to kind of reframe it in offering the solution while asking the question.
So what happens is, just to kind of fast forward this a little bit, is that as you start asking these questions, you will hear the motivation. You'll be like, okay, this person definitely wants to unload this property. And then what you're going to do is you're going to actually test it a little bit. You're going to test what they want, right? And do we talk about it in this?
Yeah, but
Okay.
first by asking, right?
Yeah.
Always ask, how much are you looking to sell the house for? How much would you like to sell the house for? And then most of the time, they'll say, I don't know, I'm just looking for an offer. Or
Sometimes they'll say,
tell me.
Zillow says it's
Or
350,
Zillow, right?
but I know it needs a little bit of work, so I'm willing to let it go for 330, right?
Mm.
And then we're like, okay, well, that's not really, we're thinking it's not really a deal, but they don't know that. They think that they're shaving $20,000 off the property,
Right.
and that it's a deal,
Right.
right? And so that's where you need to do a little course correction, like, well,
Anchoring,
Anchoring.
they call it in the negotiation books. Better if you can get the seller to anchor first and say, this is what I want. And if they say, well, I don't know, you tell me, you're the one who buys houses. We find most of the time that everyone has a number, and if our solution is going to work, it would be helpful to know if we're the right solution for what you might need. So it would just help me understand if I can help you to know what you are looking to achieve at the end of the process. Give it a shot. If they just refuse, it's fine. We move on. But if you can get the person who has the thing to sell to tell you at least how much they hope to get for it, now we've got an anchor. I know if I just give them this number they just gave me, that we've got a deal. So now we have to try to set something.
Yeah, that's the anchor, right? You know what they want, and then you're gonna anchor it low. Like, so they want, yeah, so they want 330, and you're going, actually, what we do is we buy houses that require a lot of work, and our value proposition is convenience and speed. So we're probably closer to 230. And just shop, and then just see what they say.
Make the offer. And so how do you get to that number, by the way? So this gets kind of back to a bunch of different concepts about if you're doing any kind of marketing, where you market, if you want to play in a particular neighborhood or part of the world, know that area well, so that if someone does call you, you can know that 220 is the number to offer.
We call that zoning a market, right? You learn a market better than anybody else. Maybe you're doing all of your direct mail marketing in, let's just say, Front Royal Airbnbs, right? And you know that market. All of a sudden, somebody says, oh, well, I want to sell my property for 200. What would you think right off the bat?
You need to offer less than that.
Well, no. What would, like, if knowing what you know about the Airbnb market right now in Front Royal, right? And just say it's a waterfront property, and they're like, yeah, we haven't used it in many years, and we're just hoping we're going to get 200,000 for it.
3-bed, 2-bath, 2-level house on
What are
the
you
water
thinking
in
right?
Front Royal.
What are you thinking right now?
We might have a deal.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, that could potentially very well be a deal, right? Because that property is going to be probably closer to like 450, right? 400 if it's fixed up, but you don't know the condition just yet. But if they said, well, we want 400 for it, right off the bat, it's probably too much for me, right? It would have to be really, really nice, right? And that sounds more retail. But the only way you know that is because you already know the market.
Right.
You zone the market.
Those numbers don't mean anything to you if the house is in Sacramento.
Yeah, you would have no idea, right? And so you would have to spend time, you'd have to research, and by the time you spend time in your research, guess what happens? They then talk to somebody that already knows the market, and because they know the market, they can move quickly, and speed is your friend, right? So you need to zone your market.
Right. If you're going to do marketing, don't market to the entire universe. Find the thing that you can react quickly to and understand, so that when the opportunity comes, you know what it is. So The best thing you can do for yourself though is like maybe be at a computer when you're having this conversation. So you at least type the thing into Zillow and have some chance of knowing what it might be worth better if you can actually do real comp research while you're asking. Hey, tell me a little bit about the house again. What did you say the condition of the roof was? When was the last time you might have renovated anything? While they're answering, now you're running comps, right? You're trying to pull the thing up, trying to find this house, see roughly what it might be worth, what the neighbors look like, get the Google Street View, see what the front of the house looks like, try to do some more research, whatever you can do while you're on the phone to assess value so that when either they give you a number or you're ready to give them a number, it's based in some kind of reality. If you haven't gotten it, you ask us for the spreadsheet where you can put some numbers in and try to quickly generate some kind of an offer number. But if you don't have anything else in the world but a rough idea of what you think this house is worth, because Zillow says it's 5, and they gave you some indication that the kitchen and bathrooms might need to be renovated. If you came here last month, I'd tell you how to estimate that renovation. But don't do anything else. Just say, all right, it feels like this has got to be $50,000 renovation. So Zillow says 5, 70% of that fixed up current market value minus what I think the renovation is going to cost. I'll give you, if they've given you a number, we're actually investors who buy houses all cash, work fast, we make the process really easy for our sellers. We do that so that we can acquire properties a little bit below market and hopefully shine the penny, add a little value to it, and then sell it for a profit. My offer to do that is going to be closer to 370, right? Come up with your number.
I'll take it.
Every once in a while. More often, my number, I think, Rob, to buy your house probably be closer to 370,000.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Okay, no, click, hang up, something. You wait, you put the number out there, and then the next person that speaks has anchored themselves, right? It's not about winning and losing.
I was hoping we'd get at least 425.
Typically more like what you get, right? And almost no one ever says on the first time, I'll take it. I'm like, I really need, I have to get, the mortgage is, right? I owe more than whatever the thing is, you'll get some kind of response.
One big pro tip here, right, is sometimes taking it off of the actual number, like the actual sales price, and asking what they hope to get out of it, right? So how much are you hoping to get out of the home in terms of equity, walking away with that money in your pocket? And they might say, well, 50,000 or 100,000 or 150,000, right? And then that's when you can go into the, well, how much do you actually own the home right now, right? But they normally, what they have is they have a mental net number that they want to put into their pocket. And you're trying to figure out what that number looks like, right? And you can get to it. There's different ways of getting to it.
Yeah, and that's also, I think, an opportunity for you to say, and by the way, as investors, we work with title companies that kind of, give us some breaks. Most times we can even pay the closing costs on your side to cover things. You wouldn't have any commissions when we do these kinds of deals because there's no agents involved. So if you tell me kind of what number you need to get out of it, let's see if we can't make that
How much
happen.
are you hoping in your pocket? Just walk away and make it really easy.
And it gives you a chance to kind of sell some of our advantages, no commissions, we can cover some closing costs, we can close quickly. You may or may not say cash, back to the financing thing. Technically, all money is convertible to cash and no one actually shows up with briefcases of cash. So we're cash buyers, you're a cash buyer, everybody's a cash buyer, right? But we deal in fiat fungible funds. So everything's cash. So call yourself a cash buyer, people like to hear. So if someone is even remotely close, I've offered 370, or it's front royal, I've offered 120, and they're like, I really need to get at least 175. It's under 200. We're on the same planet, we know, because we know we want to be there. That's when we move on to the appointment bit, or they say, no, I've already talked to an agent. They're coming out tomorrow to put a sign in the yard and we're going to sell it for 500. Okay, well, I probably am not the solution for you. Or, I really need, 300. And then you go back to the, okay, well, it sounds like maybe you're a retail seller you talked to an agent, or would you like to speak to a really good agent that might help you get the 300?
Ali,
Yes.
last year, we went on an appointment. We met with Joe, right? Joe had a tea house in his living room,
Yes.
remember? And the question I asked was, how much do you want to get out, from your house?
Yeah.
He said, if I could walk away with $50,000 in my pocket, like, I'd be,
We were both shocked.
yeah, completely happy, right? And what did we say? We were like, we can get you more money than that. He said, no, I'm happy with 50.
Yeah, we were pushing to get more money, he was pushing to just sell it.
Because we walked in with our seller, like, agent hat on. He was like, oh, I just want 50,000, right? I was like, no, if we could put it on the open market, we could put in the 20,000 to get you another 50,000. We could even lend you the money. He was like, nah, not, by the way, he had the money. He was like, I just don't want to do that. I'm happy if I put 50,000 in my pocket. And then I was like, well, what if we buy it? And he was like, that'd be cool. I'd love for you to buy it. It's great, right? So we bought it, or we controlled it. We put 20 into it. We made 50, right? So he would have made another $50,000. Think about that. And he chose not to. Convenience.
Convenience, right? The motivation was convenience in that particular situation. The opposite, though, can be true. Like, I would love to buy the house, but it sounds like you don't have to sell it in the next couple of weeks. You just want to get the house sold for as much as you can, and it might need a little bit of work. We still have other solutions for you. Right?
Let me take a step back at that situation. What he thought was sellers oftentimes don't realize how quickly somebody that knows how to do this can go in like a SWAT team and just fix it. In their mind, it's like a lot harder and way more work to do. And we're like, man, this will take us like a week. Like, we could come in here and get it done in a week. And in their mind, he's thinking there's no way, right? This is like the whole house has to get paid. Because it's almost like sometimes they're do-it-yourselfers. They're like, it would take me a month to do all this work plus, and I don't want to do that, right? And so in their mind, they make it a bigger problem than what it really is. And then you're like, okay, well, then I'll just solve the problem. All right, make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So if you can't solve that problem, though, because they need or want some higher amount, then you know that you can offer, and just not responding to your attempt to understand the circumstance that would allow them to sell the house where you need to buy it. Sounds like maybe I'm not the solution for you, but you should probably list this house with a great agent. I know some. Can I introduce you to somebody? Because if you can't buy it, you have nothing to lose. The only alternative is, well, I'm sorry, I can't help you. You're nuts. That house is not worth that. Goodbye.
And Michelle, to try to convert it, like this.
I've been sitting here running numbers in my head.
Yeah, but
I have 4 phone numbers on them already.
okay, but to try to convert it from you being the buyer to then like he wants some other number and then you're going to try to get the listing is really hard. Would you
Because
have?
imagine.
Yeah, he's been ignoring all of us.
Well,
No, it's not that.
And you just gave them a number that was shockingly low. You said you wanted to sell your house for $350. I told you I could buy it for $220. Now they're saying, well, no, I'm not going to sell my
And
house.
now you're going to try to get the listing from him. And be like,
Okay, well, how about I try to sell it for you?
you've lost trust, credibility, all the rest. What you have to do is you've got to then say, I know a great agent. His name's Mark Beckett. Maybe he could sell it traditional. Trying to do the flipping it, unless they go in knowing that you're going to offer options.
Don't go for both, just go for the buy, and
Yeah.
then if it has to go.
Or you could, or you go in with options, say, hey, I could provide you 3 options. Like, there's a cash option, we put it on the market option, we fix it up, and then you choose. But if you don't frame it correctly in the beginning, it's really hard to back into it on the back end.
And the 70% does or doesn't include the remodeling?
Does not.
Does not, so
Does
the
not.
remodeling, okay.
70%.
The number comes out pretty low. You hit me, that's right, because I'm sitting there like, if I offered him that much, it's, no.
That's right.
Given this market, would you stick with the 70% or would you?
I bump it to 80%. In this market, right now, 80%.
I mean, the house has been vacant for the better part of 15 plus years.
Now, Mark's gonna say, depending on our house, like that,
2,000 square
The
foot.
10% is
townhouse.
maybe not that much on a $400,000 house. 10% is a ton on a $1.5 million house. You just automatically offer $150,000 more? No.
Yeah.
So
you gotta.
that's why just saying it's like X% minus the thing is difficult. It's better if you have some more strategic way to determine what the actual cost might be, what a reasonable
This is
profit
the
is.
main, I mean,
all that.
it's infrastructure. It's been set for 15 years.
That's
You know,
that's the other thing. Like you might need that other 70% if this is a house you've never seen before. Again,
Right.
this is, we're talking on the phone with somebody. I'm not in the house right now. My whole purpose of this conversation is to be able to go to the house. So if you start at 70 and you make an offer and they don't hang up, but they say, it's gotta be, 350. Fine, I can, if 80% gets me closer to 350 and you want to continue the conversation, then you can continue the conversation. I can always come up, is my point. You'll never be able to go down unless there's something really wrong with the house.
And this is, and this is what you're trying to do. You're not trying to negotiate the deal right there on the phone. You're just trying to see if there's enough of a gap that you
Correct.
guys might be able to close.
Correct.
Because then you say, you know what? Why don't I come and take a look at the house?
Right.
Because I need to assess and look at the house. But now you mentally know, okay, there's a gap that we might be able to close. Then you go to the house and you continue to do what we initially talked about. You walk through the house without passing judgment, and it's developing rapport, learning more about them, asking some more questions, trying to figure out what's stopping them from moving forward. Sometimes it's simple as like, I don't know where to put my stuff.
There isn't anything in it.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, but many times the number one problem for people is I don't know where I'm gonna go and I don't know where I'm gonna put my stuff. And so you have to offer the solutions to where they're gonna go and where their stuff might go in storage. You might even, I paid for 6 months of storage, right, one time for somebody. It's like, no problem, we'll just put it in the storage. We'll pay for the movers, we'll put it in the storage, I'll pay for 6 months in advance, right? You just try to solve the problem, but you need to know what's stopping them from moving forward.
And so the point of all of that is to be able to go to the property at some point, or at some point engage this person in writing. In no state in America can you make the deal over the phone. Someone's got to sign something, right? Preferably.
Well, no, you can do it over the phone, and you can send DocuSign.
You can send a DocuSign, but it ultimately, something needs to be signed.
Sure.
Right, yeah.
So I'm gonna just recap. So like, you've got your formula, 70% minus ARV or 80% or whatever for your price range. And you ran your spreadsheet or whatever, and you're making this negotiation and they're like, okay, I want X price. And you're like, okay, that's not happening. And you've got your price in your head and it's right here. When you come in with that offer, I think you kind of just went over it. Are you starting when you're throwing out a price and letting them wait and the next person loses? Are you throwing out that price at 70 minus ARV, or are you a little bit below
Below.
to take advantage of the rest?
Below. I'm going to anchor low, and then I'm going to see how he or she responds to that, right? And then what I'm hoping for is that I'm just hearing flexibility in them. Hey, I couldn't possibly do it for that. We need to at least walk away with this. Well, tell me more about what you need to walk away with, right?
Because you don't want to offend them, right?
100%. That's why I really prefer knowing, like, what is it that you're hoping to walk away with and put cash in your pocket? What does that look like?
Okay.
Tell me a little bit more about what you owe on the property. Are there any additional liens, right?
So you're trying to find that number that, even though they're saying this number, you're trying to like figure out maybe where that number might really be behind the scenes.
That's right.
Yeah. Like it.
The point being, you want to actually get close enough. We're on the same planet now. Great. I'd like to come and take a look at the house, get a full understanding of what it's going to cost to renovate, how long it's going to take. Sounds really interesting. Let's set a time to get together. And then if you are going to actually meet a seller at the property, you want to ask them other questions. Cool. Could the people that would be making the decision on selling the house be available to meet me there so that we can take a look at it and hopefully we can get something worked out. In the meantime, you'll be checking to make sure that it's not like in some kind of an estate or a trust or other things. If it is, and you'll say, okay, well, who is the representative of the estate that has the ability to sign things. I at least need to know who it's going to be. Because sometimes you'll get calls from people who have no ability whatsoever to sell the house. Again, we don't want to waste our time talking to the person who has no ability whatsoever to make the decision, go all the way out, drive the house, and like, okay, well, I'll go talk to my blah, blah, blah. At least ask to find out if someone else needs to sign the thing.
Just a little nuance.
Yeah.
Right? So I would always, I like to assume and be corrected.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? So, hey, I assume you're the personal representative of the estate. Oh, no, it's not me, right? It's my sister. Oh, great, is she gonna be meeting us at the property as well, right? So what I did, if I say, if you phrase it incorrectly, what you're doing, when you assume like that, you're putting the power in their hands, right? To then correct you. Instead of saying, well, who's actually the personal representative of the estate? Now, this is like, well, I'm the personal representative. Like, you can come across as a little combative, right? So it's just like, oh, I assume you're the personal representative of the estate. And then they have to correct you if they're not, right? So just little things like that, when you're on the phone, you have to think through, how are they going to perceive this question? And sometimes it's fine. You just say, I mean, think about it. What makes you feel better? I assume you're the personal representative of the estate, or, who is the personal representative of the estate?
Yeah.
Right? One makes you feel more empowered, and then you have to be able to, and then they'll have to correct you if they're not. Right? So you always want to make them feel like they've got the power in their hands. They've got the decision making in their hands.
Are you at all talking numbers on that first call? Or are you trying to just like see the place and then?
Oh, no, it's all not like we're finding out numbers.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, we just said, if they want 500,000 and it's retail 500,000, we're not going to drive out there to go look at the house.
But are you throwing out anything about what you are trying to offer them on the first call? Or are you just like, what do you want? And then, okay, let me see it. And then talk hours later.
Only if you ask, well, how much were you thinking of selling the home for? And they say in Front Royal, 150. I just looked at this thing, this house is worth $300,000 as it sits right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just.
We can probably maybe make something happen. Are you available at 4 o'clock this afternoon? Right? And, beat feet. Generally, though, you will have to make some other kind of anchoring offer, because they're going to say, yeah, I want like 400. Okay. Based on what we do and our process, we need to buy homes that we can renovate, add some value to, sell for a profit. Never hide the fact that we're trying to make profit. People should know that. You should say that, set the expectation that, yes, of course, they need to get some kind of a deal on this because he's doing it for a profit. I get it. We're looking to make a profit, so my offer would need to be closer to, right?
Yeah. So in the first case, they give you a number and you're thinking in your head, that's pretty attractive, so let me just book an appointment.
Yeah.
Right? Second case, they gave you a high number. It's not even going to work, but you're going to test it. And so you anchor them low and see what they come back with. Right? And if they don't, if it doesn't sound like, it sounds like they want something more retail, pass from the show.
Cool. Yeah.
That way you save so many hours of time. Like the number of times where I just went on appointments when I should not have gone on appointments. Okay, what do we got next?
So if you are on the same planet, get to the house on your appointment, hopefully to meet the seller. You have a contract in your car, right? They're not long. They're not complicated. You want to be able to sign a thing if you can. Meet inside. Great, just to kind of go over. Thanks very much for having me out again. And then you're kind of still rapport building. We're consulting still, right? I'm just here to kind of understand a little bit more about the house and the situation. Hopefully we can find a way that we can get something done here while we're out. Re-ask a few of your other questions. Take a look at the house. Talk. I think first it's usually helpful to just kind of reset at the front. Here's why we're here. Here's how the process works. I want to take a look at the house. You can show me anything you think I should know. I'll try to take some notes, figure out what things might cost, with the intention of hopefully being able to make ourselves a deal here. And then I can, whatever the problem was, I can help you get this done by next Friday, or I can get something done with your wife and her 5 attorneys that gets this thing done. or we can make it so that you can walk out of this door, close the door behind you, and move on to the next phase of your life. Whatever the thing is you think that they're trying to achieve.
Well, they tell you what
what
they
did you
want.
say?
They
They've told
tell-
you.
they told
Hopefully
you
by
what
then
they
they've told you, right? You just reiterate, I'm here to help you achieve this thing. Now let's take a look at the house. So go through, if they can be with you, walk you through, show me the house. You told me about the bathroom, you told me about the kitchen, whatever. Feel free to point out deficiencies.
The only reason why you're looking at the house is really just to develop rapport with them. That makes sense? Like, you are looking at the house, but you are, listen, you know this, like, once you've been doing this for some time, I can literally just, like, 2 minutes, go up and down, look at everything and already know, right?
You're looking to confirm what you hopefully have already been told. You're looking for anything major that you weren't told, like, oh, this house has no roof. They said it was an aged roof. Great. There's 3 feet of water in the basement. They said they occasionally got a little bit of a weird smell. Like, you're looking for something that's vastly different than what you were expecting. And otherwise, just confirm what hopefully you already did know,
Yeah.
right? But when you see something that's vastly different, point it out. Or if something's like moldy or dirty or broken, how long has the mold been growing here? Okay. It's not like it's how long has it looked like that? If it's like not completely obvious, you don't want to make it completely obvious you're trying to poke holes. But we are trying to make sure that everybody understands, yeah, this house has some needs. It's okay with me. That's what I do. Just want to kind of understand what the needs are. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the sliding glass door doesn't work. Okay. Okay, yeah, I see what you're talking about the roof. I might need to maybe do a little bit of work on that. Well, you didn't mention the swimming pool that you have built into the basement. How long has that been a thing? Right? Bring the stuff up, not so much because you didn't already know about it, but because we want to make sure that we're framing this conversation from yeah, the house does have some needs. And then you end with, okay, great. And so as I was saying, the way that the process worked, this all looks like pretty much what I was expecting. I will need to do this. I will need to do that. The more you can make it seem like you are going to need to do some heavy lifting to the house without going like way over the top. Well, this house is a complete disaster. I'm going to have to gut and stuff. I love this house. And by the way, I love every house. I never tell anybody, oh, this house stinks. I love it. You can be enthusiastic. You're not giving up anything. You've already given them a way low price before. They want to know somebody actually wants this thing. They want to take it off their, to get this problem out of their life. But I love this house. I can do some really cool things with that house. I'm going to probably need to bring in my flat roof guys. We got a flat roof. Looks like we had a little bit of work in the basement, but I think I know what I'd be able to do about that. We need to renovate the kitchens and the bathrooms and some paint and some carpet. We've got some tile in there, but it's really cool bones. Just kind of the sandwich method, right? A little bit of compliment, whole lot of broken stuff. A little bit of compliment, whole lot of broken stuff. The house has a lot of needs, but I'm ready to take it on. I'm excited to take it on. It's going to be cool. But the house has a lot of needs, right? So I can see that. Okay, so I'm scribbling, I'm writing, I'm thinking, all right, so I know I told you on the phone that, it's probably going to be 270. I've looked at the house now. I think it probably works for me. You're saying 330. I don't know that I see 330 here because of, the thing in the basement. Like, I just saw this big crack there in the basement. I'm probably going to have to put like the carbon straps on the side of the basement to get that kind of brought back together again. But I can probably get to 295. I think 295 lets me do what I would need to do to make this a viable project. And then it's still, I think, will hopefully get you where you want to be. You said you want to have this thing out of your life by next Friday. I can still accomplish that.
I can settle by next Friday.
And I can settle by next Friday.
As is, no contingent offer.
Correct. And by the way, this is it. We don't come back out with another home inspector to do another thing. There'll be no report following up asking you to fix another thing. Here's what I can do. I have my contract. I can do 295, wrote it in at the top. If this works with you, we can make this deal happen and you're done. I'll try to find some way to always work in something along the lines of, if this works with you, we can get this closed and then you'll be done. You can move on to your thing.
Move on. Don't use the word deal, but everything else there is like, if this works for you.
Speak to the moving on, the moving past, the
Get them to where they go.
The relief from the thing, right? This will enable you to
And what's so interesting, guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, there have been so many instances where we've bought properties for less than what other people offered them because of the rapport, trust, and then there was like some little thing that was like really important to them. Like, I really need my mom's piano moved. Like that's like a really big deal. And so we uncovered the fact that they're concerned about moving this piano and that we could move the piano for them and that we would take good care of it.
That's a really good point and a really good question to ask also. Do you have any concerns about the process of selling the house? That's when they might be able to say, yeah, I'm concerned about my things. I'm concerned about the piano. I'm concerned about the timing. Asking if you have any concerns about the sale process is a really good leading question.
What's your biggest fear about this entire process is one that.
What's your concern or fear about the process?
I don't want to get fleeced. I want the most money possible. I don't want to leave any money on the table, right? I want to make sure that there's always trust things that are there.
Yeah.
And so what you're doing is trying to build up trust.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to have good, even, if you're a We Buy Houses company, you have to have a good online reviews. If you're gonna if you're non-existent online, guess what? You're gonna go to somebody that looks like there's more trust online. So you got to build that online credibility. Same thing if you're an agent, same thing if you're an investor, right? It's all the same. Or an appliance business, right? Google reviews.
People want to do business with people that they like and trust.
Time check, 8:08.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So then this is a wrap up on seller psychology, right? What we're trying to say is that an actual motivated seller with whom you can come to an agreement at a price that allows you to buy a house and sell it again at a profit, they will at some point almost try to sell you on buying this thing. This is why we can't just renovate every single house in the world. Most people are not motivated. But the sooner you realize the game you're playing, that you're trying to get in discussions with people who have a problem that you can solve, that have needs or wants, or that have circumstances or emotions, the better off you'll be. That is the goal here, is to get into those discussions, find a person we can help, try to come at it, I think, with help as your intention. We really do help people. I have never bought a house from someone that I didn't think I was helping by being there. Mm-hmm. Truly and honestly helping them by doing what we were doing. Do I get to make money from it? Yes. They win too, though. That their thing is solved, this problem is out of their life, this emotional weight is off of their shoulders, and I was able to do it. And I was able to maybe even do it when other people didn't, because I care. I actually do want to help. I'm not there just to make a buck. And people can sense that, right?
100%.
So go in with
Your
that.
intent.
Right. We sleep good at night knowing that we do good things for people. We help them get to wherever it is they're trying to go, solve whatever problem they're trying to solve, move on with their life and try and move on with their life. We just happen to do it with the widget of real estate. I'd like to maybe do it with cars one day. We'll find a way. I'd like to flip some cars because that's another fun widget to get kind of work on.
What's that guy's name?
Make money.
What's his name? Dean Graziosi, Dean Graziosi. He started in the whole car flipping business. Like, I remember watching him do the car infomercials back in the day. And then he shifted to real estate. It made me really nervous. It was like, anyhow.
Inspirational. Anyway, that's the point. The point is that a truly motivated seller sounds a certain way. They use certain words. They have needs and wants. You identify them, you try to solve them, and then that's how you get your deal.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Makes sense.
That's all I got. Questions?
Go ahead. Questions?
Yeah.
Couple times you're talking about, okay, so we're solving the big problem, but then little problems are coming up along the way in some of your examples, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the piano example, or, storage for 6 months or whatever. So that sort of speaks to the idea of having a toolkit of other solutions more than the reno, flip part of it.
Right.
Rather like,
100%.
okay, what other sort of common thing, obviously as you do it more and more, you're going to develop these solutions, but there's some shortcuts, some handy tips, like you should have this, this, and this lined up and know that they're roughly around these costs or?
Well, the solution, believe it or not, that those little problems don't necessarily arise after the fact. They arise during the course of the initial conversation. And then your creative brain has to think about, how am I going to solve this problem for them? So it just comes down to asking great questions.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, how much does it cost to move a piano? Is this gonna eat into my margin now, you know, like,
Yeah.
or the 6 months of storage? That might be a bit higher dollar than just moving this. I can hire 2 guys in a truck to move this piano, but
Yeah, you have to start thinking of all the different little nuances
Yeah.
like that, right? It's be like, storage unit might be like $250 a month times 6, and you're like, okay, 3, right? Like you're $2,000, just say max, is probably what it's gonna cost me, right, for that.
Yeah.
So you just start little mental calculator on that.
And talking about things that can come up and stuff you find out, flexibility you need to have, you'll find out that, oh yeah, I've got like a lien for the gutter guy that I didn't pay from 5 years ago because I got some kind of fight with him, and now the fees that dude is owed like $13,000, or the government is owed $60,000. I haven't paid taxes in 10 years. I haven't paying anybody, or the state is owed X thousands of dollars because I haven't paid taxes. Everything is negotiable.
Yeah.
Everything is negotiable.
Call
Back in
that
the
gutter
day,
guy, be like,
call that
listen,
gutter guy.
hey, you take that $10,000 lien, would you take $1,000?
And we actually get this thing paid for you. We've renegotiated car liens. We've renegotiated mechanics liens. We've renegotiated tax liens. Everything is negotiable. And the older it is, the more negotiable it is. And also, more than likely, the more time it's been sold. If it's like old car debt on some kind of car that now got attached to the real estate because it got sold like 50 different times, and one guy finally got a lien on it that attached to the house. All that stuff is negotiable. So don't just assume because the seller says, well, yeah, I owe A, B, and C, like all this money from this stuff. Okay, we may be able to help with that.
Yeah, that you could go, and once you have that contract, you can even go and negotiate the debt. Does that make sense? At the time, and create more of a margin for yourself.
Mhm.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, everything is negotiable is a good takeaway. If it's written debt.
So the
money will go.
newer people in here, the newbies, right? What questions? We just gave you guys a lot of information to process, right?
I think my biggest question would be, he said it earlier, he didn't pay any money for his first 2 rehabs. I read about hard money and private money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fully understand the concept of
Mhm.
where to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my biggest question.
Okay.
I'm right there with you. And also to add to that, like that just made me realize, like in the past few years, I kind of feel like that I like let go of things that me and my husband could invest in.
Mm-hmm.
Like because like in my head, I think I even called you one time,
Mm-hmm.
talking about this listing that I just saw, and like I was like, why didn't you just buy it? And I did the numbers and everything, and I was just like, we can't afford it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, that wasn't like a big aha tonight for me, is that money is not a factor. You just have to
Correct.
figure out.
So private and hard money, we actually have an entire discussion where we get into the nitty gritty of how all that works, what the terms are that you sign, how much it costs, how all that works. But in a nutshell, to buy beat up houses that you told somebody, I can show up next Friday and buy this house as is with no inspection, no appraisal, none of this other stuff, you're not going to go down to the corner bank and say, hey, bank, give me a loan. I need to buy this house next week, absolutely as is, with no contingencies whatsoever, right? Enter private and hard money, where the loan is based entirely on the value of the house, not entirely, 99% on the value of the house, and maybe 1% on your explanation of what you're intending to do here. I buy this thing, I think it's worth this when I fix it up. Here's how much I think it's going to take to get fixed up. Hey, people, do you know anybody who would like to fund that
It's a
loan?
little business case.
You make a business case.
Think of like the Burr method that you were talking about, right? You're gonna have to buy it. Normally what you're gonna do is you're gonna buy it with some form of cash, right? It doesn't need to be your cash, it could be his cash, it could be her cash, or it could be a combination of their cash, right? and you're gonna pay them a rate of return, 10%, 12%, 10 and 2 points. And then you're gonna renovate that house, and you're gonna refinance, that house, because it's now gonna appraise at a higher level, because you put in the work into it. And then you're gonna do it all over again, right?
And the lender, if it's a hard money lender, a professional hard money lender, will have a maximum amount that they will lend on that project. And it might be 65% of after repair value. That's the other reason I like to start at like 70 minus renovation, because I know most lenders aren't going to want to lend much over 60, 65%. Hard money lenders are not in the business of taking like 90+% LTV risk on rehabs, right? They're looking for you to have a good deal, and they're usually looking for you to make up the difference above 65%, if that's what you're paying for it, to have some skin in your deal, right? But all right, I've got a good deal. I've got this house that I can buy for $3, that I know if I put 50 into it, I can sell for $550. The lender will give me like $310 or so, but I still need the other 40 or 50. Well, now what do? Now you need the other partner, an equity partner, to be able to do it, or you just wholesale the deal. If it's good enough for you, it'll be good enough for somebody else. But if you want to stay in it, we do that too. And the ones that I did where I had no money in it, but I stayed involved in the end, is fine. I will take a piece at the end. I found a good deal. You, other equity partner person, should want to do this deal, right? Great. If you do, then let's do the deal. I'll take whatever percentage at the end, but now you've stayed in the deal by bringing a deal, using somebody else's equity to make up that little bit, and you can use a hard money loan or a private loan from someone else to pay for the big bit. You got your equity guy for the little bit. You're up here with $0, but you've brought a good deal, so that has earned you the ability to be a profit sharing partner in the deal. Does that make sense?
So there's a lot of moving pieces in this conversation. This is why what we do is we do them in stages to kind of walk people through the full life cycle, right? So hopefully you guys have connected some dots tonight. I think the big takeaway is for you, Rosanna, is that if you find a deal, the money is easy to find. Just know that is the case. The money is very easy. Don't let that get in the way of it. There's people within the network here. So one of the things we always encourage you guys to do is build your network, right? The power is in the network. We say that at Grid all the time. So it's the networking that happens here, where let's say you meet Coleman, right? You guys exchange business cards. Next thing you know, he's buying deals in Winchester, right? He knows Winchester. You get a deal that comes across Winchester, just across your radar, and you're like, oh, I know Coleman. You connect, you guys do a deal together. That's how it happens. It's really the relationships that occur is how deals happen, right? And guess what? You want to know one of the biggest sources for investors finding deals is? What's one of the biggest sources? Realtors. You want to know why? Because realtors don't know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So they don't know. So what you want to do when it comes to the distress stuff, they don't know, right? So what you want to do is you want to be more empowered, know that, so that if a deal does come across your desk, instead of you selling it and getting somebody else rich, you could partner with somebody in that process, right? The person that controls the deal controls the market. You have that information, right? And you could benefit by that information. I'll give you the last thing and then we'll turn that off, right? We'll do some networking, is that there's this concept called bird dogging, right? So you could tell us about that. And because you've given us an address and we go and do the work and we get that deal, we can pay you like a $2,000 like bird dog fee. That's what it's cost. That's what it's called. Like, it's like pointing fee. Or you could then put the property under contract yourself and sell that contract for money, 10,000, 20,000, 30, 40, 100,000, right? We paid a guy in this room $100,000 for a contract one time. His next door neighbor that he knew, right? We bought his contract for $100,000. Think about that. All he did was just like sell us the contract. It was a good day. Good day for him. right? By the way, the interesting thing is, oh, you know who that was? That was Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was Joe, right?
That's what he wanted you to make money.
That's right. Well, it was interesting because he had wholesaled the deal to somebody else, and I gave him some crap about it. I said, dude, why didn't you bring me the deal? And he said, next one I'll bring to you. And we did, and we bought the next one, right? So the relationships are how you actually find deals, right?
So when you leave tonight, the next time you're at somebody's birthday party or a happy hour or whatever it is, we're talking about whatever, try to find a way to turn it to real estate, because everybody loves talking about real estate. What do you do? I'm a real estate investor. What does that mean? What are we doing? What are we looking for? Anybody? What are we looking for? I wish I had some prize I could throw at the first person that answers. What is we're looking
Ugly
for?
house that need work.
You're looking
We're
for
looking for
motivation.
problems to solve.
Right.
Exactly. Perfect. I'm a real estate. What does that mean? That means like I help people usually by buying a house that probably has some needs. It probably needs a little bit of work done to it. But there's usually something
Everybody
going
knows
on.
what a real estate investor is, man.
There's something going on, right? You tell people there's usually something going on, that there's some kind of problem that needs to get solved. That's what you want people to think. Oh, I heard about somebody, like there's whatever, some weird situation. They inherited the house, the thing's falling down, the guy like died in the middle of the living room, whatever it is. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about? Yes, that's what you want people to think, right? I solve problems. I help people solve problems, and I do it by helping buy real estate. It's pretty
Actually, I have two of these now. I don't know how this is all happened this year. Another man I met at an open house. He's got a house with Manassas.
Mhm.
He came by the second open house to introduce me to his wife and hung around again. And he says, you're gonna sell the Manassas house. Okay, fine, on my way. But we just, the last snowy day, had a 5-hour dinner at Buffalo Wings. The man's a talker. I have invested more than 20 hours talking to this man. Anyway, the first step is his neighbor might buy the house. So
Okay.
he's gone off to do that, but it needs a lot of work. And those were the seeds that were planted work. Okay. I know how to get this. I didn't offer to buy it. I just said, one option is to buy it as is, and you don't do the work.
Mhm.
The other option is,
Well, what does he want?
I don't know what the price is yet. It's too far for him to be the flipper driving between Herndon and Manassas
Well, what does the seller want?
to sell, get rid of it.
Why?
It's just too much work for him right now.
Okay.
It's too far away, and
Okay.
it's too much work.
Okay.
He wants to be a flipper. He's quit his full-time job.
Oh, so he bought
And
this
he wants to
property.
be,
He bought
they
the,
lived there. It's a house
Okay.
they lived in.
Okay.
And then they moved up here because it was closer to work. So now he's quit his job and he was going to become a full-time
when
flipper.
did he buy it?
I don't know.
So let me tell you what happened. Sometimes you have to read the story that's like that they're
Oh,
not telling you,
Right.
right? So, hey, he quit his job to be a full-time flipper. And guess what? He's probably not making any money, fully paying them, but they're too proud to tell you that that's happening. And so you need to somehow start bringing some of that out, right? What if I just bought it? See what happens. Matt on my team has bought 6 houses in his farm area because he's just been like, what if I just made an offer on the house and you didn't go on the
So
open
that's the
market?
next conversation, because
Yeah.
I've let him go for a couple of weeks
Yeah.
to find out about the neighbor buying it. I said, I'll help you facilitate that contract, no problem.
For how much?
I'd do it 1.5, maybe.
Yeah,
1%.
1%. Yeah, 1%.
Facilitate it, keep everybody happy, go to the title company. I didn't give him a price that night, just,
Yeah, you need to get into the talking, having like, guys, we're gonna
Say,
shut
those
this
kind of
down.
strategies and more you'll hear about if you come here to the room. So hopefully we'll see
Right.
everybody online here at the room next time. But otherwise, very good night.
Yeah,
Thanks for
yeah,
coming
let's,
out,
let's,
and
let's,
see you
let's leave the good
later.
stuff for just us right now, right? Okay, guys.
See you later, internet.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
I didn't give him a